We are going to switch gears in a big way. We want to get some international perspective on COVID-19. This week, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declared victory over COVID-19 in his country and declared the 7-week state of emergency now over. In total, the country has seen 858 deaths and just over 16,000 cases. So how did a country with 3 times the population of Canada's experience just a fifth of the cases that this country did? Kawamura Yasuhisa is the Japanese ambassador to Canada. I spoke to him a bit earlier about how his country is preparing for a possible second wave.
Well, right. You point a good point. On the day of the lifting the state of emergency to the whole nation, Prime Minister important so that we need to be prepared for the possible second and third wave of infectious attack. We'll continue to follow the 3 non-C policy to avoid the congestions and conference and contacts people. Those are basic principle of code of conduct at the new normal. And also we expand the capacity of the tests, and we'll keep a right track of the infectious clusters. So we need to change our code of conduct in our daily lives, but at the same time, the government, on its part, will prepare the best availability of the equipments and medical systems, and also test capacity and so on. So combined with the people's response and government's leadership and the infusion of the supplementary budget to support economic activities and social lives, we will see that the trend of controlling the virus will continue.
I wanted to touch on testing capacity, which you mentioned, because in some of what I've read, there has been some concern from some experts in Japan about the level of testing that has been done so far. So how certain can we be that the spread of the virus is exactly how the government says it is, if only, for example, 10,000 tests were conducted between February and April? How much does the government plan to expand testing capacity?
Okay, we will take multiple applications to the situation we have. Currently, we have the case of 16,759. And the peak time, we had daily 714 new cases. Now we have less than 50 or 30 in the last week. And the rate of infections has come down to the level, we call it 0.5 per 100,000 population. This level will enable us to follow intensively the cluster of infection. So we used to do this in a similar way of the cluster intensive measures, PCR tests for necessary people. So we'll continue to do this. But at the same time, we will introduce a new method of tracing infectious spots. It's a new type of technology, which will require no personal information or no worry about the privacy. So it's a new application. So we're planning to introduce such a new system in mid-June next month. And the capacity of tests, in combination of the existing PCR tests, we will also introduce the antigen tests. Antigen tests will come out of the result so quickly. So in combination with the PCR test, antigen test will also play a role. So capacity of the testing people, we will ask the local governments and the universities and so on to have more people to conduct the tests of the PCRs. So all those things will be applied, and we'll see have a right track of the infectious spots.
Okay, Ambassador, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about one other subject. Your country has a lot of experience dealing with diplomatic issues, diplomatic strains with China, and I know you're well aware of what this country is facing right now with its relationship with China, and especially amplified yesterday with the court decision on Meng Wanzhou. I'm wondering if you have one piece of advice for the government in this country to handle a tense relationship with China. What would that advice be?
Okay, in general sense that Japan and Canada are on the same boat. We have China as the biggest, one of the biggest trading partners. But at the same time, we face a very severe challenge in terms of security and political area. So we need to work closely so that the China will play a kind of responsive role in international affairs, so that the world, global area would enjoy the prosperity and economic freedom. In the Indo-Pacific Ocean is the area where our two countries, Canada and Japan, face. And this is the source of future development, the prosperity. So we need to preserve the fundamental values such as democracy and free trade and transparency and the rule of law. Those fundamental values are so important for the continuous prosperity of the region as a whole. So we need to work together. So we need Canada's involvement and cooperation in this global efforts endeavor. We have thoughts of so-called free and open Indo-Pacific Ocean, which our two governments talk so frequently these days. So in cope with the new challenge, I think that we need to keep a right balance. We may need to be very tenacious and long-term viewpoint, and we need to be flexible and innovative in terms of communication with China. China has a long history and long tradition, so sometimes we may need speak softly and very calmly, and but at the same time we need to be very consistent and resolutely when it coming to the fundamental values and fundamental principles. So we keep a very cooperative interactions with Canada. We look forward to working closely with you.
Okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Vassie.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.